So welcome to our information session. We will refer to the Summer Institute as the Intersectional Qualitative Research Methods Institute as the Institute for the remainder of our webinar today. The Institute is sponsored by the University of Texas at Austin, by the Latino Research Institute. As a reminder, there are two IQRMI institutes. One is hosted by the University of Texas at Austin, and it is for advanced doctoral students. That's what this webinar will be discussing today. The second is an institute hosted by The Ohio State University's Kirwan Institute for the Study of Race and Ethnicity, and that's for early career faculty. So please make sure to visit their website to learn more about their program. So my name is Dr. Crisia Plasencia, and I'm the Senior Academic Program Coordinator for the Latino Research Institute. I have the honor of being the moderator for today's information session. First, I want to provide some info regarding the Q&A and chat functions for Zoom's webinar today, for the Zoom webinar today. And then I'll review our agenda. So you may use the chat function or the Q&A to submit any questions that you have throughout our presentation. We will answer questions at the end of our presentation. If you have any questions that come up afterwards, please feel free to email us at any time at lri@utexas.edu. So today we're going to be covering, and I'll share that email again later on. So today we're going to be covering the Institute curriculum and overview some of the key points of the application. We're going to start off by introducing the presenters for today, talking about the Institute, exploring the Institute experience, and talk about eligibility, application process, and we'll conclude with Q&A. So our presenters today. Today we have Dr. Michael Roy James Garcia. He's the Interim Director of the Latino Research Institute and Professor of Mexican American and Latino Studies. Dr. James Garcia studies and teaches about inequalities of race, class, gender, sexuality, and disability in the criminal justice system, from policing and criminal courts to incarceration and reentry. He has also published and taught extensively on critical theories of identity and the self. Dr. James Garcia is a member of the University of Texas Initiative for Law Societies and Justice and is on the board of the Civil Liberties Defense Center. We also have Dr. Rachel Gonzalez Martin, who is a folklorist and associate professor of Mexican American and Latino Studies. She is an active affiliate faculty member of the Center for Mexican American Studies, Women and Gender Studies, and the Latino Media and Arts program at the University of Texas. Her research focuses on cultural practice and class formation in U.S. Latinx communities of practice, especially focusing on women, youth, and queer identifying public. Her work looks at performances of everyday life, working with all manner of cultural productions, including personal experience narratives, body art, material culture, and digital media. And last, we have Dr. Danielle Cleland, who is an associate professor of Mexican American and Latino Studies with a courtesy appointment in the Department of African Diaspora Studies. Her work highlights Black solidarity, struggle, and voice through an interdisciplinary lens as she examines racial politics in the Caribbean and the United States. Her current project focuses on political attitudes and identity among Afro-Latinos in the United States and racism and Black consciousness in the Spanish-speaking Caribbean. So thank you to our core faculty and for being here with us today. Now I'll hand it over to Dr. Michael Roy James Garcia, who will introduce the Institute.
Thank you, Dr. Plasencia, and thank you to everyone tuning in for your interest in our Summer Institute. Through this institute, we provide a unique training opportunity that is designed specifically for advanced doctoral students. Our institute is among the few to focus on qualitative research methods, with an emphasis on intersectional perspectives to studying race, class, gender, ethnicity, and other dimensions of inequality. In addition, we provide participants with opportunities for professional development in pursuit of successful academic and research careers. If you are a postdoctoral researcher or a university faculty, our partner, the Kirwan Institute for the Study of Race and Ethnicity at The Ohio State University, offers an institute specifically for early career faculty. We have a link to them on our website, but the UT Austin Institute is only open to graduate students. Now in its 8th year, our institute seeks to explore intersectional perspectives for interpreting qualitative research data, to enhance qualitative research data analyses, holistic interpretation and analytical writing, and to provide guidance on the completion of the doctoral degree and professional development strategies to support transition to a postdoctoral or faculty position. So that's an overview of the what. Now that we're on the slide, you're probably also wondering about the when and where. So our 1-week Summer Institute is scheduled to begin on Sunday, June 22nd, with a welcome dinner, and will run through the afternoon of Friday, June 27th. UT Austin is a world-class institution and the flagship school of the University of Texas system. We're located in Austin, Texas, a vibrant city with a rich and diverse cultural history, great food, and an unparalleled live music scene. Now I'm going to turn you over to Dr. Gonzalez-Martin, who will describe what you can expect from the Institute experience.
Hi, folks. I'm going to talk a little bit about the general Institute experience to give you a sense of what it might be like to attend. So during our intensive 5-day Institute, participants will refine the way they utilize intersectional research methods in their given fields and for their specific projects. So everyone will work individually with their own data and materials. However, we will facilitate group discussions to engage qualitative methods from a variety of social locations and methodological vantage points. Institute days are very, very labor intensive. And let me repeat that for you. Institute days are labor intensive. Each day begins with a breakfast, followed by a writing group, followed by a series of seminars. It's really important that you understand this, if only because it can be exhausting. And we know that everyone is coming from a variety of backgrounds and experiences, so we just want to let people know that at the outset. Next slide, please. So is this a writing retreat? The answer is no. And by that we mean this is not a writing retreat, but we do incorporate elements of writing, refining ideas, and thematic development of your work into the sessions that you'll have throughout the week. So there's writing elements throughout. But based on demand, student demand, we have organized writing times, especially in the early mornings and in the evenings after our official program is over, sort of holding space if people want to gather or want to sit and write for 30 minutes after their day of thinking really hard or before they have breakfast. So our writing times, though, are self-paced, self-initiated, so you can meet in groups in spaces that we've organized to host on campus, right, where you'll also be having your other sessions, or you can go do something on your own. But this is something that's an individual process. Next slide, please. So what you're seeing here is your average day during the Institute. So the morning working groups that everyone will be in are assigned. They're a chance to meet with a core faculty member before you arrive to sort of the bigger group discussions to really familiarize yourself with the topics that are coming up and just talk one-on-one, right, with a small group and one core faculty member about what you might be going through, how you did the day before, what to expect individually. So our morning sessions, these seminars are based on discussions really of theory and method. They change every day. We expect everyone essentially to attend all of the sessions. Lunch is a larger gap of time midday. Clearly, you're meant to have a meal, take a break. Some folks actually go back to their rooms and nap because they've been sort of working hard or thinking extra. And some folks need a little bit of time to check in with families when you're away. But this is also an ideal time for networking. We've incorporated more time into lunchtime. So one, you can meet with core faculty members in the program. You can have pre-planned to meet potential collaborators or potential mentors from across the UT campus. We just give you more time. And that's because we really value the networking opportunities that you have. That could also just mean sitting with a few new friends that you've made in the program for the week and just getting to know what folks are doing, especially folks that aren't in your small core groups. After lunch, we have what are called evening sessions, but really they're late afternoon sessions. And these are devoted to professional development. So really thinking about statements, research statements, biographical statements, cover letters, CVs. Occasionally, we'll be thinking about job talks and style. All of those different kinds of elements of professional development will be incorporated, and these will definitely be hands-on sessions. So one evening during our week together, we'll host a group dinner away from campus, and we have sort of a special time where students are able to submit candid questions about anything they want to know about being a postdoc or a faculty member, and our core faculty will sit and be honest with you about the experiences that we have or we know. Next slide, please. So our thematic areas, so you'll notice that some people are worried about how broad or how narrow our thematic areas are. These are the basic themes you can sort of expect expertise in. Clearly, they're very broad, they're very inclusive, but we really want you to think about how you can fit into these thematic areas. Because what we're going to do based on your projects and your applications is we're going to organize you into small groups based, one, on how best your research fits into these areas, in a small cohort of 4 to 5 people in a small group, but we're also thinking about the best mentorship relationship that we can offer you. So we're trying to put people together, sometimes creatively, because of the different kinds of backgrounds that aren't represented here. We work really hard to be creative and get people thinking on a variety of levels. I've yet to have anyone say that their core group was not productive and interesting. So our faculty specializations, and so that includes our core faculty members and our guest speakers from across the UT campus and beyond, are trained in education, sociology, public health, women and gender studies, anthropology, folklore, cultural studies, both quantitative and qualitative specializations, ethnography, media studies, critical race studies, and studies of intersectionality as politics. All of these are part of our small scale curriculum, but also the expertise that our faculty bring. So during this time, particularly during those lunch hours that are the lunch hour and a half that we've set aside, participants will be able to schedule one-on-one meetings with any of the core faculty members. So whoever leads your small session or any of the other faculty involved. And folks will get to sign up at the beginning of the week when they see their schedule and figure out who they want to have smaller conversations with. And those signups are rolling throughout the week based on availabilities. We really want you to think about this work week with us at the Institute as building your professional network, both during the Institute and beyond, right? These are relationships that we want to build for the long term. So now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Cleland, who's going to talk about program eligibility requirements and the general application process.
Thanks, Rachel. Hi, everybody. So I am going to talk to you about application stuff, who is eligible, what you need for your application, and all of that. And so essentially here we have the criteria that we need for the Institute. And so doctoral students who have advanced to candidacy within the last 3 years. And so essentially, because this is for advanced doctoral students who already have their data collected, that is one of the main criteria that we need for your participation in the Institute. And so if you are perhaps an advanced doctoral student that doesn't have any data collected or wouldn't have any by this time, we encourage you to wait until the next cycle to apply. And we've also had some recent grads. And so waiting till the next cycle, I think, is just fine. And so it's important that everybody be sort of in the same place, gathering their data. If you have gathered most of your data, but let's say you still have some interviews to do, that is fine. We are essentially looking for the bulk of your data being collected. I know that there are a lot of times where we collect our data and then we realize, oh, I need to go back and collect a few more interviews in this area. So if you're in that stage, that's perfectly fine. You don't need to be 100% done. We just want to know that the majority of your data has been collected. So you have to have advanced to candidacy. You need to have most of your data collected. And then you also must be enrolled in an academic program at a US accredited institution. And so if you qualify for all of these three, we really encourage you to apply. Next slide. So these are the 4 things that you need for your application. So when you're starting the application, think about having all of these items before you send it in, especially the letter of support, because of course, that's something that you need to request from your advisor. But we are asking for all of these in PDF format. Please make sure that each file starts with your last name so that we can identify you easily. And so we want you to include your CV. As I said, we need a letter of support from your dissertation chair. And so this letter should basically confirm that your data will be ready for analysis and interpretation prior to you arriving at the Institute. And this is really important because we host workshops that have to do with analyzing your data, coding your data. And so we need for that step to be completed. We also need a brief biographical statement, and that's a very short 150 words or less. And so you can use that opportunity to share with us your professional background, your motivations for choosing your program of research, and any other information that you want to include in your bio. And then the last 4th thing that we need is a description of your dissertation research project, and that should be 500 words or less. And so this should be a clear and succinct reference to intersectionality, because that is the focus of our institute. And the way that you address intersectionality in your dissertation research should also be included in the description. But this is an overall project description talking about your methods, your thesis, and what your timeline is. And so if there are questions specifically about this, we'll be happy to answer them in the Q&A. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. James Garcia, and he is going to talk to you about application deadlines and other institute details.
Sure thing. Thank you, Daniel. So when is your application due? Applications are due January 10th. You can find a link to our application on the Latino Research Institute website. We strongly encourage you to have all of your materials ready so you can complete the application in one sitting. Although you will see a save and return later function, please be aware that if you use this, you will need to keep track of the access code, or else you will lose all your progress when you return. When will we be notified of our decision? We notify applicants of our decisions in early February. And when is the Institute? The 2025 Institute will start on Sunday, on June 22nd, and run through that following Friday, June 27th. Next slide, please. And we will provide you with lodging. Participants will be housed together on campus. For further details, will be provided once participants have registered. Next slide. And what does it cost? Thanks to some generous funding, we've been able to reduce what we charge our participants for our institute. So this year, we're charging $600 for the registration. In addition to world-class instruction and mentorship, your registration fee covers lodging, breakfast, lunch, and snacks each day of the institute, as well as dinners on Sunday and Tuesday. However, participants will be on their own for the remaining dinners and will need to arrange their own transportation to the UT Austin campus. We encourage applicants to check with their home departments for travel support. Please do so early in the application process because we do offer financial assistance, but you'll need to request that and all of that. So please think about this early on. Our email address is on the screen. And I'm going to hand you over to Dr. Plasencia for our Q&A session.
Thank you for attending, and now we're going to open the Q&A. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat now, or to raise your hand and I can unmute you. And please note that there is also an anonymous Q&A function, so you can also just submit your questions. Okay, I have one question here. I think this might be good for us to answer. Will you consider applications from institutions outside of the US?
Oh, I thought you were going to answer that.
I was asking the panelists, so sorry. But could you talk a little bit about this, Dr. Jimenez Garcia?
Yes. Yeah, we do have a formal requirement of enrollment in a US accredited institution, but that is not a hard and fast requirement. We're more than happy to make exceptions to that, and we have in the past.
Thank you. I just received another question, and maybe Dr. Gonzalez Martin can answer this one. Is there work leading up to the Institute for participants to complete?
Yes. Once you go through the application process, you're accepted. There is some, it's not necessarily work, but pre-planning involved. There will be a little bit of bio building, of a little bit of an elevator statement, but we'll give you all the details with plenty of time to submit some basic materials for us to work with. So yes, we have found that having some pre-homework helps us save time during the Institute for deeper conversations.
Thank you. We have another question. How likely are students to receive financial aid for this year? Dr. Jimenez Garcia, would you like to answer this one?
Sure. We've never turned anyone away, and the process for asking for financial assistance for this is simply to document that you have asked your home department and to let us know what funding, if any, they were able to provide you, and we will all be happy to make up the difference.
Great, thank you so much. I think that covers all of the questions, but please, 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 if you have any questions or if you need anything, feel free to email us at lri@austin.utexas.edu. I'll be fielding those emails too, so you might receive something from me, Crisia Plasencia. And we encourage you to apply and to tell all your colleagues and networks about us. Thank you so much. And thank you to our wonderful panelists for making time.